All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate your patience. Let's put my face up real quick. Scrambling around the FOMC reaction here. Got to set a stop loss for a top fish. And then we'll get going. All right, stop loss is set. Distractions gone for now. So, thanks for tuning in. It is almost robe season. I've got summer robe and winter robe. I don't really have a fall robe, so I'm sweating. But it's worth it. So we've got a reaction to the FOMC minutes taking place right now. We can see a big bull reaction, a 5-minute high or low, and now a high of the day test. And what we are seeing is the first hourly oversold conditions on the NASDAQ from our recent bull move. And if this marks our daily high or low, which the bulls are certainly attempting to do, then it's another daily bull flag. And again, if we keep holding daily EMA 12 on the way up, we keep complete control for the bulls. So at this point in time, there are 0 red flags for the stock market bulls on consolidation. And as I've been pointing out, Apple is the most important stock, and it is just massively, relatively strong. And it's now about 4% from all-time highs with this massive V-shaped bounce. Some people point to the 2008 V-shaped bounce of Apple. Moving my mic out of the way. And it did have a V-shaped bounce in 2008 that rolled over into lower lows. Right here. The biggest difference is that was not anticipated. And right now there's a whole bunch of people on Twitter anticipating a collapse. And if you look at the Google Trends, you will see, I think Eric posted on Twitter that Google Trends right now, some of the highest searches for bear market rally. And I think the last time they were this high were about right here. So the bulls are very strong, is the bottom line. And nothing's changing on the daily time frame until Apple shows us some weakness. And I've been watching all the sectors today with Apple, and it's looked to me like Apple is controlling the show. And so daily stair-step pattern and just absolute complete control. Tons of space for an hourly high or low, next consolidation on Apple. And in my opinion, Apple is driving the market right now. Wrong button. All right, so let's look at Bitcoin. How does Bitcoin shape up comparatively? Well, we have the same kind of bullish reaction on the 5-minute time frame, but the biggest difference is the daily time frame is way weaker. We know we are much weaker, relatively speaking, comparative to the NASDAQ. And if we look at Bitcoin divided by the NASDAQ, we can see we're heading down towards the recent lows of the correlation, meaning we're heading down towards the weakest point that we've been in the last month. And Bitcoin at this point in time, the daily hasn't really had clarity for me this entire move up. Not the entire move up, but pretty much around here is when I started losing clarity. And so I'm going to the 2-day time frame. And you can look at this and say, well, if we set a 2-day high or low and shift momentum, the bulls keep control. And that is true. But again, we need some kind of spark and some kind of catalyst because clearly broader market strength is not doing it. So what's going to do it? This is the rising wedge, and I would have had a bear break today depending on how we close. But so now the next most important support level for me is that higher low of 22. There's 22.6 and 22.3 it looks like. No, that's way lower. 22.6 and 22.4. A couple support levels. And that's the weekly level as well. We're setting a higher low every week, the last month plus. And 22.6 breaking would lose that pattern and have the bears start that weekly consolidation. We also have a lot of altcoins already seeing weekly consolidation. I made a list this afternoon, and I just want to pull it up to save me some time rather than going through everything. We've got names seeing weekly consolidation already underway. So AXS, Waves, BNB, Dot, Sand, Mana, Link, AVAX, ICP, Ape, Sushi, Theta, and OMG all broke the low of last week. So weekly consolidation is underway for all those names. And that's a lot of them. That is a good chunk of my list seeing weekly consolidation underway. So alts are dropping faster than Bitcoin, which means the dominance chart, it's trying to bounce, but it's still very weak. Not much of a bounce there in the dominance chart. In my opinion, the next time the dominance chart does make a convincing bull move, it will be because crypto is dropping and alts are dropping harder. So what do the Bitcoin bulls need to do to shift this momentum? Well, first things first, we need an hourly uptrend on this move right now. We're just looking for an hourly lower high. Can we confirm an hourly uptrend? If we do, we zoom out. 4 hour, we'll just be looking for a lower high, anything under 24.5. Can we confirm a 4 hour uptrend? So the burden is on the bulls on all these shorter term time frames to try and see some shift in momentum. But again, the bears are comfortable in crypto. So if I'm a bear in crypto, I'm comfortable looking at the crypto charts. I look over at the stock charts and say, not that comfortable with the strength over there, but as long as the chart that I'm focused on is still in a downtrend, then that's a-okay. As far as seeing a significant move down in crypto, definitely need broader stock market help, which again, we don't have right now for bears. So just keeping that perspective in mind. So the names that are already seeing weekly consolidation underway, I personally am scouting weekly higher lows, but it may take a couple weeks to form, and I am in no rush. There are 4 hour oversold bounces that aggressive bulls are looking to trade, but again, only the most aggressive bulls care about them. And we saw 4 hour and hourly RSI getting oversold on a lot of these names, like Link here. So Link 4 hour RSI just got to oversold. The hourly was oversold, and so now we have a little bounce underway. But again, all altcoins, all weak altcoins are in hourly downtrend still. And the burden is on the bulls to confirm trends back in their favor. Ethereum's trying to hold daily EMA 12. It lost a little bit of clarity for me as well. 12 hour lower high and lower low last night. The lower low is not really seeing any follow through right now. Same thing, you go to the 2-day time frame for Ethereum, and it looks fine. Ethereum 2-day chart, there aren't any red flags. So hourly trends is the name of the game. ETH BTC. Daily is fine, higher low set. So ETH BTC is showing us relative strength comparative to ETH USD. So we're keeping an eye on that. As long as the daily uptrend remains intact, that's going to help the Ethereum bulls keep their control. I personally have not had clarity in the last few days or so. So that means I am not trading. And if you are sitting on your hands and being patient, there's nothing wrong with that. If I were in any positions, they would be bearish positions, which I don't have access to as far as crypto names are concerned. But significant pullback on a lot of these names over the last few days. And again, just knowing that weekly consolidation is the most likely scenario makes me more comfortable being bearish up at these levels than being bullish. And as I mentioned in the past, the only way that I'm going to be comfortable in any kind of size in swing positions at this point will be looking for weekly higher lows. And the fact that Bitcoin has not started the weekly consolidation yet, I'm certainly not looking for any of those positions yet. But there is a scenario. I mean, as I keep saying, we are seeing bear frustration in the stock market. Bears are not that frustrated in crypto because, again, they have these moves that they can work with. But any bear in the stock market over the last 3 weeks just hasn't had any breathing room whatsoever. I mean, there's day trades and stuff, obviously, but from a swing trade perspective and from a bigger picture perspective, it's just this grind up V-shaped bounce. And it will top out eventually. And when it does, I do expect a significant negative impact on crypto as well. But not as long as daily EMA 12 is support. And you can see SPY didn't even come close to testing that level on current consolidation. Current consolidation is not done, of course, but it's a bullish reaction to the start of daily consolidation. And in my opinion, if we're going to see anything shift, we would need to see the NASDAQ break to a lower low so that this first hourly oversold conditions does not mark the daily higher low. Again, we know the strongest trends, 5-minute oversold marks an hourly higher low, hourly oversold marks a daily higher low. And so if that does not shape up and we do drop to the lower low, then that's when bears start to prove something to us. So the low of today on the NASDAQ for me is going to be key in the short term because that's the level that is proving to me that bulls are still aggressively buying dips. But Bitcoin bulls are not aggressively buying dips, or at least crypto bulls are not. $22.6 is the next level that matters to me. Weekly time frame. Let's check in on LTC BTC. Another rejection from resistance, removing the support line because it doesn't matter anymore, but still remaining range bound, sideways on the weekly. So Litecoin is going to see some relative strength or relative weakness spike soon. Relative weakness has a little bit of an edge as a favor because we did break support, but again, we broke support with no follow through. And LTC USD, you can see, is still battling to try and maintain this rising wedge. There's still a bunch of rising wedges out there. We know Bitcoin, obviously, Litecoin, still right there. FTT is a rising wedge. Where's FTT? So FTT, again, just tiny little tweaks of these lines. If we were to bounce from here, we would just drop the line a little bit. And there is a couple more. Mana broke bearish, back test rejected, and rolled over to further weakness. There's one more good rising wedge out there. I'm forgetting who it is off the top of my head. FTT, or I should say XTZ, is now forming one because we had the bull break and a lack of follow through. So long story short, bears are comfortable in Bitcoin. They are not getting any help from the broader stock market. We are in 4-hour, we have 12-hour, 4-hour, and hourly downtrends as our guides that are keeping the bears comfortable. The only hope for the bulls in the short term would be setting a 2-day higher low. And we know that's not going to happen unless we confirm a 4-hour trend change is step number 1. So if we're not in a 4-hour uptrend, there's no 2-day higher low forming. There are definitely a lot weaker altcoin names than Bitcoin as far as the pullback over the last 5 days or so. And there are a bunch of names that are pulling back significantly enough now where if you see the link pullback and you say, oh, darn, you know, I missed it. I missed my bear entry. And we've already pulled back, how much? 15% from the high? So we've already pulled back 15%. A patient bear is just waiting for the next daily bounce and saying, well, we can bounce 10% from here and still just form a daily lower high. So that's what a patient bear is going to be waiting for the next time we see bounces on names that have pulled back significantly on their daily time frame. You can see the retracement size here for Link on this pullback is over 50% from the last higher low. Ape is another name that certainly has a lot of space for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. So again, with where we're positioned on weekly charts and with weekly EMA resistance, it's the kind of scenario where I just say, you know, if we see another leg up, hats off to the bulls, congrats, but it's just not a place where I'm comfortable looking for any kind of swing entries at this point in time. All right. Checking in on the chat room. Let's look at the volatile meme coins. We know the meme stocks have been running, so that definitely means pay attention to meme coins. BBBY, how's that for a breakout? AMC, not nearly as impressive. GME, big day yesterday, but just a one-off. Fubo had a big day yesterday, but just a one-off day. But BBBY has been the lead bull. So with that, Doge, and actually the meme coins started it over the weekend, and then the meme stocks followed through during the week over the last few days. But Doge has pulled back very significantly. We had a little hourly inability to break the top. Actually, it was the 4-hour that was the better. Little bull flag attempt, higher low quickly set, fail the high, and then confirm a 4-hour downtrend. So now we can look for a 12-hour higher low. Have we seen hourly oversold conditions yet? Looks like the bulls front ran it a bit. And when I say front ran, I mean the RSI drops down to 33, 34, and then the bulls start buying before it gets oversold. So we have not seen hourly oversold conditions yet. The bulls would have to regain the hourly uptrend for a 12-hour higher low to be set. And I would say when we lose the 12-hour higher lows, then that momentum on this breakout is gone. And SHIB is already tightening up real nice. We just held 1509 support, 1659 is key resistance. Let's go to the 12-hour here. I'm just viewing this as our high, low of consolidation, lower high, and trying to form a higher low. So just a sideways tightening range here. And we know the tighter we get, the closer we're getting to a break of that tightening range and a spike in volume and volatility. So SHIB much tighter in its consolidation than Doge. KDA, bears in full control. We did hit 4-hour oversold conditions. We had a real nice 12-hour equilibrium that broke bear. I mean, this, if you are a trader, this is your ideal scenario for a pattern. Learn the equilibriums as best you can. Because in terms of the best risk and reward, whether you're going off the 213 break or the 207 break, it's 10% of follow through in a few days. Just tightening range. And the best part about them is, again, your risk and reward. Well, your risk is clearly defined. Your stop, as soon as, if you're waiting for the break, as soon as the break takes place, your stop is the 12-hour lower highs, which have continued to form here. About 4-hour oversold bounce attempt. Anything under 201 will just be a 4-hour lower high as a result of this bounce. And then it's another name that's pulled back significantly enough where we will be scouting a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. For names that have started weekly consolidation, KDA being one of them, for bears to follow through on that weekly consolidation, they want to see confirmed daily downtrends, lower highs and lower lows, to gain the daily trend in their favor. Right now, there are some names that have started weekly consolidation, but don't have the daily lower high and lower low yet. So that's the next step for the bears to confirm their control. Sava stock. So Sava is another name rejecting from weekly EMA 12 resistance, just consistently. Weekly consolidation is underway. We had an equilibrium here. It was a fake out because it broke bull for a day. We broke one level. We failed to break the second level, and then we rolled over into breaking support. So that was definitely a more tricky equilibrium. When you break an equilibrium, you have to ensure that you're taking out multiple levels. So LTC BTC broke its 2-day equilibrium bearish, but only took out one support straight into a notable bounce. And the name that we just looked at, who was that? KDA? That's an example of breaking the equilibrium and taking out all the support levels right away. relatively speaking, right away. It took maybe 18 hours, but no real bounces until all those supports were taken out. You want it to be like a domino effect, where you kick over the domino and it knocks the next few. So if the equilibrium is going to be strong and convincing and have follow through, breaking one level can be a signal, but you have to ensure that the other levels break as well. Because if you break one level and then fail the second level and then start to reverse, it's definitely a red flag as far as lacking follow through. Having trouble understanding how some alts are going to dig deeper when they are at their lowest lows right now. I don't know what you mean by dig deeper. If you mean drop lower, we can easily drop lower. Some of these alts just bounced 100% plus. So pulling back 30, 40% from the highs wouldn't be unheard of at all. I mean, look at what Bitcoin did on the initial daily bounces. Remember when we were range bound and we bounced massively and then pulled back massively? So we bounce 23% and then we drop 16% and then we bounce 20% and then we drop. You get the idea. So that happens on the daily time frame, and now we're looking for that to potentially happen on the weekly time frame. Bounce significantly, pull back 50%, bounce 20%. Again, that's how we form these tightening ranges after significant volatility. You see the big, we'll use Ethereum because it has a better bounce, but you see the big time dump, the big time bounce, a big time pullback, and that's how equilibriums are formed. So a 50% retracement of this bounce on Ethereum would have us dropping back down to 1,500. And I'm certainly not ruling that out once weekly consolidation does begin. And there'll be clues. Volume will be a big clue. Are the bears showing up with significant volume or not? I hoped for some follow through once Bitcoin broke its wedge, but again, the drop to 23.3 was not meaningful enough. Yeah, I mean, it's not flushing hard. And again, I do believe that, I mean, think of it, if you have automated trading systems, bots and algos that are set to correlate to the broader market, which we know those exist and they're out there, you can have, why are we weaker if those bots are in play? Well, clearly there's more selling pressure that's offsetting whatever the bots are buying to correlate with the stock market strength. But if those bots are still turned on and they're still, firing off these buys, for example, I mean, this big bull move right here, I mean, it's not a big bull move, but this bull move right here of 1% is because the stock market had a bullish reaction to the FOMC minutes. So somebody or some automated system is still buying based on the stock market. That buying has not been able to offset the selling that has been taking place in crypto over the last week plus. So when it gets magnified to the downside, you have individuals selling and you have the bots selling. And we haven't had the bots and the algos that are correlated to the broader market selling and adding downward pressure. So it's almost like the wind's blown in two directions. You have selling pressure because of weekly EMA 12, because of the size of the bounce retracement in the crypto world, but you have buying pressure from the bots and algos that are correlated to the broader market. That's what I'm envisioning that's happening right now, which is why we don't have a ton of clarity, a ton of bear follow through. Sol is the rising wedge. Thank you. That was the one I was looking for. Testing support now. Trying to catch up here. I keep losing my place. Stock market reaction to the Fed minutes. Bullish, burden on bears. Have to break the NASDAQ low so that hourly oversold does not mark our daily higher low. Not looking at stocks right now. XRP. So first things I want to know is how is XRP BTC doing? And I can see it's range bound. 2-day time frame. This is the range that I care about. Pretty much a triple top and a double bottom. So we have been gaining against Bitcoin the last couple of days, but as far as a very significant shift of relative strength or relative weakness comparative to Bitcoin, we're not going to get it until this sideways range breaks one way or the other. And it's possible we tighten up within this for another week plus. So XRP USDT, choppy mess. Again, I look at this chart and I cannot trade that daily chart successfully. So I would just wait, because there is zero clarity for me on that daily chart. Zero. And there's other charts that are much more clear. So if I'm a trader and I come across a chart that is unclear to me, I just go to the clear one. And I would say Ethereum or Link are both much more clear on their daily time frame to me than XRP. And when something is unclear, that will mean that I just zoom out and use a longer term time frame. Let's see, does the 2-day chart gain any clarity for me? Usually when there's a lack of clarity for me, it means there's a megaphone going on. But even then, I don't see one. It's just a choppy mess. As far as short-term trading is concerned, I would have zero confidence that I could trade that well. What time frames do I like to trade? I like to trade the hourly, the 5-minute, and the 4-hour. I want to get better at swing trading, but I am finding it difficult to swing trade and day trade at the same time. In my opinion, you gotta switch the switch in my brain to just, I get too caught up in short-term time frames when I'm swing trading, and I get too caught up in longer-term time frames when I'm day trading. No, it's the other way around. It's just swing trading that's the issue. When I am swing trading and I'm still day trading at the same time, it throws me off big time. So if I'm going to switch to swing trading, which I will someday because I can't keep putting in this many hours as I have been over the last 7 years, then I'm going to have to just set orders and leave the computer a lot more. Because if I'm sitting at the computer, I am messing up my swing trade game. Self-sabotage for sure. And patience is definitely a key skill. LDO. So here's another one where the 2-day time frame has a little bit more clarity, where anything above 208 is a higher low. We are in a clear 4-hour downtrend and an hourly downtrend. So that's the same as many other names. Have to see bulls confirm hourly or 4-hour trend changes in their favor to try and shape up a 2-day high or low. And then we'll have to be cautious of a head and shoulders. If we set the 2-day high or low and then fail the high and roll over, that would be one way that we reverse this uptrend into a weekly lower high and tightening range. We got a whole wide range, so got to be cautious of topping out on that bounce. But the 2-day time frame is where I'm finding the clarity there. OP perp. That's not how you spell it. I don't think it looks like a bull flag to me. Let's see what retracement size is. I'm on the weekly now. Retracement's pushing 50%. So again, if we're going to be a bull flag, we want 382 retracement or less. And as soon as we go 50% retracement or more, we start to scout equilibriums, because we've created enough space on the pullback where we will anticipate a lower high will be the result of the next bounce. And this name is obviously extremely volatile in both directions, but just for example, we can bounce 50% and still form a weekly lower high here. Would I build a position leading up to breaking all levels? If you're referring to an equilibrium, I will trade within an equilibrium if we're right near a level and the risk reward is nice and clean, in the sense that I'm playing to continue trading within the equilibrium. So let's just use LTC BTC as an example. If I were trading within this equilibrium that we're forming, we see a big move up here on August 7th, approaching resistance, And so my risk to short there would be fairly low. The 4-hour RSI was over 70. The hourly RSI was over 70. So we're extended on short-term time frames. We're heading into a key resistance, and I can risk, let's say I don't get the best entry here, but let's say I'm in at 266 and I stop out if 27 breaks. I'm risking 000 whatever 4. And the reward for the downside is 15. So my risk is 4 and my possible reward is 15. So I will, if it's a low risk, solid reward opportunity for trading within the equilibrium, I will do so. I will also trade within an equilibrium if I have a bias for the direction that it will break. So if I feel that we're going to get a bull break of an equilibrium, I will watch for the pullback. I'll make my entry and I'll put my stop under that more recent higher low. And then let's say there's multiple ways to do it. Let's say the equilibrium keeps playing out. So I say, I think this tightening range is going to break bull. All right, I make an entry. Maybe I scale in 2 orders and my stop goes under there. We then bounce. I then anticipate we're going to remain within the equilibrium. So I sell half. And my stop can now be under this level risk-free. And then if it breaks bear and I'm wrong, I stop out. And if it breaks bull and I'm right, then I've got a half position that then sees much more reward. I'll check MARA just because it's relevant. So MARA is responding more. It changes. Sometimes it responds more to the NASDAQ than to Bitcoin. But here, clearly, it's responding more to Bitcoin than the NASDAQ. Granted, the NASDAQ did start daily consolidation as well, very briefly. But we're pulling back pretty notably on MARA. It's a weekly inside bar, and it has potential to remain that way. But it's another one where we pulled back enough that the bulls need to be cautious of a lower high being the result of the next bounce. Because if we were to bounce here and then confirm the daily downtrend, we know a more meaningful top would be set. Hourly, have we seen first hourly oversold? Saw it yesterday, decent bounce there, 16.27 to 17.31, solid 5% plus. But a clear hourly downtrend keeping the bears in control for now. And QQQ is obviously strong. QQQ might be a 5-minute head and shoulders. If a 5-minute head and shoulders confirms here, we then look for an hourly high or low attempt for the bulls to try and shape up an hourly trend change. All right, I got 5 more minutes. And then the chart guys have an afternoon live stream going for the stock market close. What signals consolidation starting? The price breaking the low of the previous candle to dumb it down? Yes. And if you zoom in, you will see a downtrend confirming on a shorter term time frame that's leading to that break. So if you got a pattern of a higher low every hourly candle and then it breaks, you're very likely seeing a 5-minute downtrend confirming leading to that break. If I were shorting QQQ here for the 5-minute head and shoulders, I would be in a position and I'd put my stop over that high with a little bit of wiggle room. I'm not going to go off of that high because I'm not playing off that level. I'm playing anticipating the lower high here. So if we were to hold this neckline and break that level, I would be wrong and want to stop out. Bears need to break 329.68. To confirm. I've been trading for 12 years. I've been trading insane hours for 7 years. And by insane hours, I mean more than 99, easily more than 99% of traders. There's definitely others who do more than me, but not many. And the reason for that is, of course, because of the chart guys, just in the sense that having that responsibility keeps me, I'm doing stuff in a TheChartGuys Slack chat room literally 363 days a year. It's a bit sick in the head, but I like it. So QQQ potentially confirming the 5-minute head and shoulders, but that's what I mean by not sustainable. I mean, you can't put in that many hours for decades or I will die when I'm 45. I don't want to do that. Theta confirmed the daily downtrend, one of the first names to do so. So this makes me more confident as a bear. As I mentioned, there are names that have started weekly consolidation that have not confirmed a daily downtrend. Theta is an example of a name that has started weekly consolidation by confirming a daily downtrend with the lower high and lower low. There are monthly bear flags out there. That is for sure. And if we remain this relatively weak comparative to the stock market, I mean, we'll have to see how we react when the stock market sees weekly consolidation, but you know, it wouldn't surprise me that the S&P 500 pulls back for a few weeks and forms a higher low, but it's possible that may send Bitcoin right back to 17 or lower. And the way that would happen, the way we would visualize it, is if this Bitcoin divided by NASDAQ chart stays weak. If this stays bearish, this shows us that we are much weaker than the stock market. We haven't even started a monthly bounce here. Go to the 2-week time frame. You know, if this drops to a lower low and we see a new weakest we have been compared to the NASDAQ in years, a couple years, year and a half, that's a big red flag for crypto bulls. So keep an eye on that one. This BTC USD divided by NAS 100 USD. This has to break bull. Apple is definitely way overdue for consolidation, but aside from blue sky breakout, this is the next strongest thing that you can see, which is it's a perpetual short squeeze. Anybody that shorted Apple over the last few months is underwater. And anybody that's, I mean, there are people trying to short it every day the last week, saying that it's overextended, because it is overextended, but it's just continuing to stop all these people out and put bears underwater. QQQ confirms the 5-minute head and shoulders. Bears want to take out the second level of 329.36 to have confidence in follow through. I zoom out, and now we're just looking for a 15-minute higher low, keeping an eye on EMA 12 support. So hourly may be topping out, and the burden will be on bulls to confirm an hourly uptrend if it's going to be a daily bull flag. And if we fail, and if our hourly oversold does not mark the daily high or low, then the probabilities of a daily bull flag will decrease a good bit. All right, I gotta wrap it up. Another live stream coming down the pipe. I appreciate you all tuning in. I hope you have a good rest of your day. 79 likes, not great. 100, much better. But I appreciate you all tuning in. Again, if you want to keep it as simple as possible, the daily time frame doesn't have a ton of clarity for me. Obviously, the bears are in control, but the hourly and the 4-hour are nice and clear. Bitcoin rejecting from 4-hour EMA 12, just looking for a lower high. So that's where there's definitely short-term clarity. So we can just take it one time frame at a time, and as soon as there's a trend change on one time frame, we can zoom out to the next time frame. Bitcoin has been rejecting from 4-hour EMA 12 for the last 2.5 days.